Meeting on the air first and third Sunday, 7 p.m., W5FC. W5FC.
23 CDU. I have arrived for Skynet. We'll be standing by.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
So things are already happening on Echolink over there. Who knows what will happen next? Does anybody need to use repeater before we begin this session of Skynet? I guess that answer is no. This is Chaz, KF5JHA, and I'm net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. since the year 2012 concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy and space, and, well, things related to that. This net is open to all amateurs interested in the topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter this net at any time by using the pro sign break break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? I guess not. This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without directions from net control. I guess that's me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions, like this, KF5JHA. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a private line tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible. They're already over there. They're stacking up over on Echolink. With a possible, well, you can do this by using the W5FC-R or station ID or the Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics include astronomy charts, pictures, live audio and video links are available online. Go to the w5fc.org right now, well, maybe later on too, for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member. of the Dallas Amateur Radio Club or any amateur radio club to participate. This net is usually about 90 minutes long. I'm going to try to see if I can shorten it this evening. We have things like general announcements, the Texas Astronomical Study of Dallas information, the National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, that's going to be something I do. What's up? Oh, that's me again. Space exploration and space history, constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, and we continue on. We're going to have probably time for all of those. Okay, I guess it's time for our check-ins. We're going to start with low power and short time check-ins. Now, I do this differently because I only do this about once every 3 or 4 months, so only about 4 times a year. So I have an interesting thing that I like to do. I like to check in people slowly, phonetically, with their call sign. And I only take 3 people at a time, get them all situated, then I'll take the next 3 people at a time. So if you are low power and or short time, please come now with your call sign slowly, phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from this evening.
This is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot India WV4MFI Ted Dallas Low Power.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus far northeast Dallas, low power, 4 watt.
Tom, maybe you're right. Over in Echo Link, it says slow people check in. Maybe that's just short of attention span. I don't know. Thank you, Ted, from Dallas, and Gus. Thank you so much for your check-ins. Okay, any more low power or short time check-ins, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from.
This is Alpha Foxtrot 5 X-Ray Zulu, Gary in Dallas.
Well, good evening, Gary. Thank you for checking in. Okay, I'll tell you what. It sounds like we've got a slow night ahead, so let's go ahead and get general check-ins. We'll get to Echo Link here in a few minutes, but RF radio frequency check-ins, come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Just the next 3 people, please.
November 5, Bravo, Bill in Irving.
Kilo Mike 5, Yankee, Quebec, David in Farmers Branch.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu, Whiskey J, November.
Jay and David and Bill, welcome to Skynet this evening. We want to welcome everyone here this evening. Okay, the next 3 people, please come in with your call sign.
Kilo Golf 5, Uniform, Kilo Uniform, David Mesquite.
November Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas. Louisville.
Okay, we're going to stop right there because actually I got all three people, even though we have a couple of doubles there. We have David, we have Tony, and Tom. You got stomped on, but I got you anyway. All right. All right. And he's from Louisville. Tom is. He's our slide changer if you're on the video portion of this. Okay, the next three people, please come down with your call sign, phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Don't go really fast. I have to go slowly here on my writing.
Kilo, Golf, 5, Uniform, Foxtrot, Romeo, Jacob and Dallas.
Kilo, Foxtrot, 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch. Kilo, 1, Golf, Bravo, Delta, Guy, and Lake Island.
Well, good evening, Jacob, Bill, and Guy. We welcome you to Skynet. Okay, the next three people, please come down with your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location.
This is Kilo, Golf, 5, Echo, India, Uniform, David, St. Paul, Texas.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda in DeSoto. Kilo 5, Kilo, Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
Well, good evening, Kelly, Brenda, and David. Welcome to Skynet. Okay, the next three people, please come down with your call sign phonetically, your name, and the location of your transmission.
Kilo, India, 5, Golf, Bravo, Tango, Chris and Godley.
Kilo, India 5, India Kilo Charlie, Alec, North Carrollton, Mobile.
Kilo, Golf, 5, Whiskey, Victor, Lima, James, in Carrollton.
So we have two people from Carrollton. Alex is in North Carrollton, James is in Carrollton, and Chris, you're in Godley. I'm not sure if I know where that is, but welcome to Skynet. Okay, we're up to 19, so we need a few more check-ins. Come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location. Please be kind to me. Don't go really fast.
Kilo 0, Foxtrot Echo Romeo, Chris in Southeast Dallas.
Kilo, Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth.
Kilo, Alpha 6, Echo, Tango, Sierra, Phil, Mesquite.
We have another neighbor of mine, Phil. Welcome to the Skynet. And Shane and Chris. Okay, we have more people. We're up to 22 people so far for our check-ins. Come down with your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location. If you want to check in for tonight's Skynet, we'll get that you on Echolink in a moment.
Kilo 5, Golf, Lima, Delta, Randy, Rowlett.
Okay, Randy, you're the latest addition. We're up to 23 people. Okay, we'll get more radio frequency RF check-ins in a little bit. If you would like to check in by voice on Echolink, please come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. If not, I'm going to write your names down off of Echolink anyway if you haven't checked in.
Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington. I-5, DY, Alpha India 5, Delta Yankee, Bill, Garland.
Control. Mid-control, this is Kilo Charlie 3. Charlie Delta Uniform, Kilo Charlie 3. Charlie Delta Uniform, checking in. I believe this is the time that you are calling for check-ins. I just got back to the radio and heard people checking in, so I'm checking in. KC3, CDU.
Hi, the last person that just checked in, please give me your name and your location. Give me your call sign once again as well.
Hello, Charlie 3, Charlie Delta Uniform, Kilo Charlie 3, Charlie Delta Uniform, Timothy in Westmoreland County, New Florence, Pennsylvania. KC3 CDU, Timothy in New Florence, Pennsylvania, Westmoreland County. Love that Quindar tone.
Timothy, thank you. I do see you on Echolink. Okay, I'll also check in Bill, I believe, and also Joe from Arlington. And I think I've got somebody from Facebook as well. Thank you, Tom. I think you sent that over Echolink to me. I've also got, let me see, Rich. I don't think I've got you on my list so far. I'm going to write you down if I don't hear from you. But, Rich, would you like to check in by voice right now? All right, that's okay. I've got you anyway. Let's see now. I've got Joe. I think I already checked him in. Yeah, okay. I think I've got everyone over on Echolink, I believe. Chris. Yeah, I think so. Okay, great. I'll tell you what. We'll do some more check-ins. Right now, we're up to 28 check-ins for Skynet. That's doing really well, if you ask me. All right, do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed ham. Come now with your call sign if you have any announcements.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Oh, yeah. JJ, I do have you checked in. You're up to 29 now. Okay, thank you very much. Tony, come now with your announcements.
Well, Chaz, I wish I had something totally awesome to say about the launch of the next crewed mission to the moon or Mars, but I don't. I just have some nets that are coming up. We do have the Afterglow movie discussion coming up tonight at about 10:30 or so. We'll be talking about the 1957 black and white oddity, the 27th Day. everything is always normal for the first 26 days, it's day 27 when things begin to get real. Tomorrow we have the meeting on the air at 7 p.m. and the RACES training net at 8 p.m. The meeting on the air is open to anyone, Dallas Amateur Radio Club member or not, who wants to share what's going on in their ham world. The meeting on the air is fun and awesome and full of good ideas for what to do at ham radio. The RACES training net is only open for check-ins to RACES appointees, but of course everyone is welcome to listen to the training presentation. Monday is a ham fixins Monday. I recommend you eat before the net. That's always the safest course of action. It meets right here on Monday at 7 p.m. And the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting will be happening on Tuesday, August 3rd, with the board meeting at 6 and the general meeting at 7. Both will be virtual for at least this month. More details are available at w5fc.org. Look at the club activities section and then the calendar of events. I hope to hear you for all these nets and see you at the meeting. NT5TM.
A recheck N5BB.
Thank you, Tony. Bill, go ahead with your recheck.
I also have a couple announcements. I wasn't fast enough on the mic button. N5BB.
We're going to get to National Space Society in a couple of minutes, but go ahead.
No, these have nothing to do with the National Space Society. This is N5BB. I have a couple of local amateur radio-related announcements. One of them is that the Irving Amateur Radio Club is going to be starting back up in person now, volunteer exams. And they will start 3 weeks from today on Saturday, August the 21st. So our exams are going to be on the third Saturday of every month at 8:30 in Irving at the Bingo Hall. So this is on Saturday morning, 8:30 at the Bingo Hall where we have our ham fests when we don't have COVID. It's where our Club Shack is also. So again, volunteer amateur examinations starting up again on the third Saturday of August in Irving. Other announcements. Unfortunately, we have a silent key who passed away in January in Louisville, Dwayne Beatty, W5PNM. I knew Dwayne. He worked with me at Tektronix years ago. He was a really nice guy, and he passed away in January from COVID-19 before the vaccinations were readily available. There will be an estate sale for Dwayne. His estate with a lot of amateur radio gear and other electronics things in Louisville a week from today. That will be on Saturday, August the 7th. The time is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Location is 1562 Glenmore Drive in Louisville. I repeat, estate sale for Dwayne Beatty, that's spelled D-U-A-N-E, B-A-A-D-E, W5 Papa November Mike, silent key. On Saturday, August the 7th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., location 1562 Glenmore Drive, Louisville, Texas. That's all I have in 5BB.
Thank you, Bill. Does anybody need a fill on what Bill has been talking about? Come now if you have need for further information. Sorry to hear about the silent key. Thank you, Bill. I have a few announcements. The AMSAT, that would be Amateur Satellites, off Group has 2 nets available in the Dallas residence. On Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time, you'll need Echolink installed, and you need to be registered on Echolink, and it's a lot of fun being on Echolink. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. There's also a live audio link available on their website, www.amsatnet.com. And this originates from Houston, Texas. The Dallas AMSAT net east in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on this repeater, 146.88 PL tone 110.9 on Tuesdays. Tom, N5HYP, he's sometimes here on Skynet, is our net control. All are welcome to check in. The first Tuesday of the month is the DARC Club night, so no AMSAT East that night. And AMSAT West is Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz, PL tone 110.9. That's what most of the PL tones are here in this area. Positive offset. There's so many other nets that are on this thing. Tony's giving you a list of some of them. I'm not going to go through the list because I want to save time this evening. So go to w5fc.org, and then you'll find out all those different things. Oh, Surf City is awesome on Fridays at, I think it's 8 p.m. still. I don't think that's changed. Okay, let's see now. Oh, yeah, there's a daily lunch bunch at Monday through Friday. Oh, wait. I think we're up to what is after Skynet tonight. That would be the afterglow. Tom, KE5ICX, do you have some sort of explanation, a synopsis of this movie that we're going to be talking about after Skynet tonight? Could you come now?
Oh, Chaz, I certainly can, and I will give a synopsis of tonight's movie at 10:30 p.m. Everybody listen up. The alien explained the complex rules to Jonathan Clark, a good-looking man who would star in a movie about L.A. in the year 2017, but that wasn't important right now. The alien droned on. And by the way, yes, Gene Barry, he was in last week's movie starring, and now he's in the 1957 version of this one. So this is what the alien says. We cannot destroy you, steal your parking places, or excessively edit your television classics. You must do that yourself. You will each get a set of pills, all in color, coordinated splendor, and alphabetical order. From there, you will decide which pills to unleash on the world, but you must use them before they are expired. If you remove them from the pillbox, they can be used by anyone, except on Thursday, which is Garbage Day, and Wednesday, which is Prince Spaghetti Day. Clark was taking notes, and his fellow abductees, the writer of this movie, the director, and the producer, who also appeared just as confused. Join us for this gem from 1957, the convoluted and confusing, the 27th day. From 1957 tonight at 10:30 p.m. You can find it online on YouTube. That is all. Back to net control.
This is Skynet. Is this world control, really? Oh, okay. Thank you, Tom. Okay. We're going to try to see if there's any additional check-ins right now. If you'd like to check in for this session of Skynet, come now slowly with your call sign, phonetically, your name, and your location.
This is Alpha Alpha 5 Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Alpha Papa Lima, Patrick. And I'm with?
This is Whiskey 5 India Golf, Mobile. My name is Victor.
Thank you for checking in, Patrick. I think I'd already written you down. And Victor, welcome to Skynet Mobile. Be careful. Keep both hands on the steering wheel. Okay, great. Nice to meet you. We are now up to 32. Do you think we can make it to 42 by the end of Skynet? That would be awesome. I don't think we've ever gotten to 42. All right. I'm going to not do that part. It says the Texas Astronomical Society events. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. What comes up next? Oh, hey, Bill, N5BB. Give us some information about the National Space Society events and activities.
Very good. Thank you, Chaz. This is N5BB. I happen to be the membership director of the North Texas chapter of the National Space Society. If you're interested in the National Space Society or have any questions about its activities, you can contact me at N5BB@ARRL.net. That's November 5 Bravo Bravo at ARRL.net. Or space@byrom.net. SPACE@BYROM.net. The National Space Society had quite a few people at our tables at Moon Day a week ago on July the 24th. And we got several new members there, including at least one ham, Jay Cox. Well, in fact, there were two hams, Jay Cox, BZW, and Dawson Lightfoot, whose call sign I cannot remember. He lives in Dallas. So that was great, and we had a lot of good interaction there. One of our members got a case of COVID. It was a breakthrough infection, so it must have been from the Delta variant. He was fully vaccinated, but had a breakthrough infection. And so I and some others have gotten tested, and the rest of us are negative. So it's quite possible that he got it some other way. He may have gotten it the day afterward, seeing some other people. Anyway, be careful out there. The Delta variant is very aggressive, and it can infect people who are fully vaccinated, and they can spread the Delta variant. So the next meeting of the National Space Society is going to be on Sunday, August 8th. That's only 8 days away. Tentatively, it's going to be at the Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving, unless we decide to go back to virtual. But tentatively, it's going to be at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving at the southwest corner of Highway 183 and Beltline at 3:30 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, August the 8th. But please don't go there before contacting me, because it's possible we'll go back to virtual after this little episode. There's a lot of things that are going to be coming up with the National Space Society when we get more back into in-person activities. So far, the only in-person outreach kind of public activity that we've done this year has been Moon Day. And kind of waiting for the virus cases to stabilize and go down as opposed to going up before we probably start doing some things at other local museums and schools. That's all I got for now. Lots going on with National Space Society. The big news is that this morning there was the formal announcement that the local chapter, the North Texas chapter of National Space Society, is again the chapter of the year for National Space Society. So we are the local chapter is very active, and has won chapter of the year at least 4 times in the last 8 years. So we're a pretty good chapter. That's all I got in 5BB. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I thought I'd heard that you were the chapter of the year at Moon Day, but okay, congratulations. That's great. Okay, we're up to the featured topic of the evening, And what I decided to do is just do an extended version of What's Up. So that's my segment. So that's what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes. So I am the astrophysics lab manager at Dallas College on the Brookhaven campus. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up. Slide Master, that was slide number 1. If you could switch to slide 2, I'm not watching video version of this. I'm watching Star Trek instead. Yeah, okay. Remember that Skynet is not only available in the Dallas repeater at 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9, but also available to hams across the world via Echolink. And most weeks, Skynet also has a video component. You can find that by going to the w5fc.org website. Oftentimes I'm doing it, I usually am looking at the YouTube video version, but there's a couple of other video versions too. Now, what I say is Skynet is 3D. It's because it's on radio, Echolink, and video. But Tony, he's with us to this evening, NT5TM, says we are in 4D because of time. By the way, what goes on in the chat station window on Echolink and what's being done on the video may not have anything to do with what's being talked about on the air. So to get the full 3D version, really 4D version, of Skynet, you must be monitoring all 3 areas at the same time. Slide number 3, Slide Master. I did this last week, but I thought I'd repeat this. Do you know what we were talking about on Skynet a year ago? Comet Neowise. Do you remember? I tried seeing the comet in the morning sky and then in the evening sky from the DFW area, but I could not find it. But from West Texas, it was so easy to see with just my 2 eyes. Did you know that in the past, that one of the myths about comets was that they were considered to be omens, a sign of evil things or events? Neowise was discovered on March 27, 2020, just about a week after the entire country, actually the entire world, went on lockdown from COVID-19. Interesting timing, if you ask me. I'm just saying. The pictures of Neowise that you see on the video version of Skynet are ones that I took while I was in West Texas a year ago. It's estimated that the next time that Neowise visits the inner solar system will be approximately 6,700 years from now. I'll keep you updated with specifics once we all get closer to that date. Slide number 4, please, Slide Master. On July the 31st, that's today, the moon is at its 3rd quarter phase. On August the 2nd, the moon will be at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth. On August the 8th, the moon will be at its new phase, and on August the 15th, the moon will be at its 1st quarter phase. On August the 17th, the moon will be at perigee, which is the point of the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth. Slide number 5, please, Slide Master. A couple of nights ago, on the night of July 29th, 30th, there was actually 3 meteor showers that peaked. That's right, 3 meteor showers that peaked at the same night. The Alpha Cornucopiads, they produced a handful of meteors per hour. The Southern Delta Aquariid meteor shower may have produced as many as 16 meteors per hour, and the July Gamma Draconids were predicted to produce as many as 100 meteors per hour of observing. So how do you tell which meteor is connected to which shower? You trace the trail of the meteor backwards to see what constellation that the meteors seem to have originated from. Since there was between a full moon and a 3rd quarter phase, it's a waxing gibbous, it probably prevented a lot of people from seeing very many meteors during this year. I was out late last night and I did not see any meteors, but I wasn't in very dark skies. Slide number 6, please. August the 8th begins a series of encounters of the moon with different solar system objects. On the evening of August the 8th, the crescent moon will be beside the planet Mercury in the low western evening sky around 8:30. Slide number 7, please. On August the 9th, the moon continues its encounter with solar system objects when it is in conjunction with the planet Mars in the low western evening sky around 8:30. In slide number 8, on August the 10th, the moon has its 3rd solar system encounter with the planet Venus. Venus was easy to see last night when I was out. Again, this is a conjunction that takes place low in the western evening sky, and I'd be looking around 8:30. It's still strong twilight. You may need a pair of binoculars to see these three events on August 8th, 9th, and 10th. Slide Master, slide number 9, please. I've told you in the past about the last half of the year is the best time for meteor observing. The first half, not so much. The Perseid Meteor Shower peaks in just a couple of nights. This year, the Perseids peak on the night of August 11th, 12th. Fortunately, the moon is just a couple days away from, the moon is just a little bit away from new moon during the peak. Even now, for some reason I wrote it wrong, but even now you can see just some of these meteors in the sky. The annual meteor shower is one of the major meteor showers of the year. It can be seen mainly from the northern hemisphere, but most of the year's population is living in the northern hemisphere, and with it being the warm summertime for the northern hemisphere, it has become the most famous and most widely observed meteor shower. Usually the best time to see meteors is after midnight and before morning twilight, because this is the side of the Earth that's running into the leftover cloud of debris from comets and asteroids. If the moon isn't interfering with a meteor shower, you could see about 1 meteor every minute during the Perseid meteor shower. Years ago, I lived in the Seattle area, and I drove up the Cascade Mountains into a logging road to watch the Perseids. The hour just before dawn, I observed 90 meteors, which on average is about 1 meteor every 45 seconds. That was a fun night. Slide number 10, please. But why are they called the Perseid Meteor Shower? The Perseid is one of the 88, the Perseus is one of the 88 constellations in the sky. Meteors seem to originate from the constellation of Perseus. This origination location is called the radiant point for the meteor shower. But why do the meteors appear to come from the same point? Well, in Ohio, before September 8th, 1966, we talked about driving through a snowfall. When you drive in a snowfall, then all of the snow seems to come from a single point above and in front of your car. Do the snowflakes do that? Well, of course not. If you stop the car, then the snow looks like it's just falling from overhead. So this is an effect that's a result of the movement of the car. Slide number 11, please. The same is true for meteors. The moving object is the Earth. The meteors look like they are coming from the point in space in the general direction of where the Earth is traveling. Of course, the movement of the meteor stream has an effect on the sky location too. But most of the time, the radiant point is located somewhere in the morning sky. Slide number 12, please, Slide Master. Now, where do these meteors come from? Comets and some asteroids leave a trail of debris as they travel through the solar system. If this debris stream happens to intersect with the orbit of the Earth, voila, a meteor shower. So, I think Tony told me this a while back. So would comet cleanser be used during a meteor shower? Thank you, Tony. The Perseid meteor shower is the result of the Swift-Tuttle comet leaving debris. Most of the meteors are specks of dust that run into the Earth's atmosphere so hard, so fast, that the friction is so great that they burn up. It's like you rubbing your hands together. If you warm your hands up, you can rub them together slowly, but if you rub them really fast and faster and faster, no, don't do that. I don't want you to hurt your hands. But I guess you could say the meteors sort of get rubbed out, don't they? Sometimes the debris is larger, sometimes the size of your fist, which could cause a very bright meteor. Extremely bright meteors are called fireballs or bolides. Slide number 13, please. So when future meteor is in outer space, we call it a meteoroid. When the particle runs in the Earth's atmosphere and we see it streaking through the sky, it's called a meteor. If it does not burn up all the way in the Earth's atmosphere and part of it ends up on the ground, we call that part of the ground a meteorite. TCU has a wonderful meteorite collection, and the museum has had a booth at the past moon days for several years. I didn't see it, but I didn't get around to all the booths this last week, so I'm not sure if there was a booth for the TCU meteorite collection or not. there is a meteor crater at Odessa that you can visit as well. You should plan a road trip. For details about meteor showers, you can go to the International Meteor Organization website, IMO.net, or the American Meteor Society website, amsmeteors.org. Slide number 14. Oh, and why did I say before September 8th, 1966, that we talked about driving through a snow to describe a meteor shower? Well, what happened on September 8th, 1966? Well, it's something that I'm doing right now on my TV while I'm doing Skynet too. It was when Star Trek was first aired on TV. And from that point onward, we call this the Star Trek effect. Seeing the stars passing around the Starship Enterprise, seeming to come from a single point in front of them, just like a meteor shower. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 15. The next Texas Astronomical Society Club meeting on Friday, August the 27th, 2021 is at 7:30 p.m. The topic will be about the quantum computing and astronomy simulations by Michael McGugan, I think. Gugan? Oh, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. From Brookhaven National Laboratory. Task Club members will receive an email link to the Zoom meeting in advance of the meeting. Now, TAS has plans to resume having face-to-face meetings for the September meeting, and TAS has already resumed having some public observing sessions with social distancing, but with the surge in COVID-19 cases, the public observing sessions may have to be put on hold again. And the September club meeting might only be on Zoom, but we'll have to wait and see. One of the reasons why Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights was so that there was an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society public observing sessions that are held on Saturday nights. Check with TAS website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. Slide number 16, please. Now, do any of you out there in Radioland have any questions or need a fill on any of the information I've just talked about? Or do you have just a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question, or someone else here on the net might. Come now with your call sign if you have a question. A quiet night on Skynet. Okay, slide number 17, please, slide master. So as the moon wanes at the end of July, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. And until next time I talk about what's up, keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, KF5JHA, and I have to take back control to myself because I'm the net control. Oh, okay, I have to read some more notes here in just a minute. Hang on a moment. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any more people to check into Skynet. If you'd like to join us for this session of Skynet, please come now with your call sign phonetically, slowly please, your name and your location. Please come now if you want to join us for Skynet and get, your proper credit.
Kilo 5, Juliet, Delta, Whiskey, John in Coppell.
This is Kilo India 5, Kilo Tango Zulu.
Ooh, John, I've got you clearly, but the last person I didn't get, you really fuzzed out with mostly noise. Could you please reorient yourself, get into a better location, maybe increase your power, and try that again?
KI5 KTZ Philip, White Rock Lake.
Oh, much better, Philip. Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other people that'd like to check into Skynet this evening? Come now with your call sign, your name, and your location. Oh, we are only 8 away. We have 34 people. We really need to get to 42. Call your friends. Tell them to check into Skynet. All right, Kelly, I think it's up to you. Space exploration and space history. The net is yours, K5 KTX. The mayor.
Thank you, Chaz. This is K5 KTX, and yes, I am the mayor of Kelly, Texas. I will be traveling soon to my own island in Ohio. I didn't know I even had an island in Ohio. I wonder if I can be the mayor of that as well. Okay, well, anyway, on to the report for this week. So, some pretty scary situation that happened on the International Space Station this week. The uncrewed multi-purpose laboratory module, or MLM, named Nauka, the Russian word for science, arrived at the International Space Station's Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment at 8:29 a.m. Central Time, 8 days after lifting off from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Nauka will serve as the new science facility, docking port, and spacewalk airlock for future operations. Following the docking of the MLM, Russian cosmonauts aboard the space station conducted leak checks between Nauka and the service module. At 12:45 p.m., the flight control team noticed the unplanned firing of the MLM thrusters that caused the station to move out of orientation by about 45 degrees, possibly due to a software issue. Ground teams regained attitude control, and the motion of the space station is stable. The crew was never and is not in any danger, and flight controllers in Mission Control Houston are monitoring the status of the space station. Of course, the, quote, experts, unquote, around the world are saying that the situation was much worse than NASA stated, but I'm sure that at some point there will be a full report with more details. There was supposed to be a news briefing, was it yesterday or the day before? Could not find a video of that, so I will keep looking and see if there's if they come up with any additional information about what happened. Because of this glitch, NASA, Boeing, and United Launch Alliance are now targeting 12:20 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, August the 3rd, for the launch of the Orbital Flight Test 2, or OFT-2, with the Starliner. The launch was originally scheduled for yesterday. NASA's live launch coverage begins at 11:30 p.m. Docking is targeted for 12:37 p.m. Wednesday, August the 4th. And actually, I think that's 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Now, the Starliner will arrive at the space station with more than 400 pounds of NASA cargo and crew supplies. The mission will test the end-to-end capabilities of Starliner, from launch to docking, entry, and a desert landing in the western United States. OFT-2 will provide valuable data that will help NASA certify Boeing's crew transportation system to carry astronauts to and from the space station. During approach to the space station, NASA and Boeing will verify data links and command capabilities by the station crew, including a commanded hold during approach by Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut and station commander Aki Hoshide. Starliner will also test its vision-based navigation system to autonomously dock with the space station. Though no crew will be on board the spacecraft for OFT-2, the Starliner commander seat will be occupied by Rosie the Rocketeer, the Boeing's anthropometric test device. During OFT-1, Rosie was outfitted with 15 sensors to collect data on what astronauts will experience during flights on Starliner. For OFT-2, spacecraft data capture ports previously connected to Rosie's 15 sensors will be used to collect data from sensors placed along the seat pallet, which is the infrastructure that holds all the crew seats in place. After a successful docking, Starliner will spend 5 to 10 days aboard the orbiting laboratory before returning to Earth in the western United States. The spacecraft will return with more than 550 pounds of cargo, including reusable nitrogen-oxygen recharge system, or NORS, tanks that provide breathable air to the station crew members. OFT-2 is the second orbital flight for the CST-100 Starliner and the first for the second crew module in the Starliner fleet. Boeing is flying the second orbital test to prove the Starliner system meets NASA's requirements, including docking to the space station. As long as Starliner's second uncrewed mission meets all the necessary objectives, NASA and Boeing will look for opportunities toward the end of this year to fly Starliner's first crewed mission to the space station, the Crew Flight Test, or CFT, with NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore, Nicole Mann, and Mike Fink on board. Now in space history for this past week, starting with July the 29th, way back in 1878, a total eclipse of the sun was observed from Fort Worth by a party directed by Leonard Waldo, then at Harvard College Observatory. Many observers were recruited both locally and from out-of-state academic institutions. The program included drawings and photography of the solar corona, measurements of polarization, and spectroscopic observations of the changing light from the solar chromosphere. From the latter, W.H. Pulsifer of Washington University in St. Louis deduced a height of the chromosphere of at least 524 miles. David Todd of the Naval Observatory observed from Dallas and produced sketches of the solar corona. Also on July the 29th, back in 1958, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the National Aeronautics and Space Act, which established the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. The national commitment to a broad program of space exploration, including manned spaceflight, came in response to the Soviet Union's successful space launches begun in 1957. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy set as a national goal the achievement of a manned landing on the moon by the end of the decade. NASA began to reorganize and increase its space establishments. Central to the agency's new future construction of a manned space development aggregation, including facilities in Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi. NASA also elected to build a new space management, crew training, and flight control center on Clear Lake in southeastern Harris County, Texas, thanks to the efforts of Texas Congressman Albert Thomas. On July the 30th, 1971, 50 years ago yesterday, Apollo 15 landed on the moon after successfully conducting the steepest approach yet used in Apollo missions, 26-degree angle to get over the Apennine Mountains. During the mission, Dave Scott and Jim Irwin completed a then record 18 hours and 37 minutes of lunar surface extravehicular activity, or EVA, traversing altogether about 17.5 miles in the Lunar Rover Roving Vehicle, or LRV. During the mission, Scott and Irwin collected over 170 pounds of lunar samples. Al Worden was the command module pilot for the mission. And today, on July the 31st in history, 1964, Ranger 7 made a crash landing during the first fully successful U.S. mission in exploration of the moon. Although crashing into the lunar surface doesn't seem like it should be called a success, it was done by design. Crashing allowed the probe to get close to the surface and transmit detailed photos back to Earth before its preordained demise. In only 17 minutes from the time its cameras were turned on to impact, Ranger 7 transmitted over 4,000 images from 6 different cameras. These photos helped us prepare for human missions to the moon and improved our understanding of the lunar surface. In honor of the probe's achievement, the area it crashed into was named Mare Cognitum, Latin for the sea that has become known. Also, on July 31st, 1969, Mariner 6 made its closest approach to the red planet, flying 2,132 miles above the surface. In tandem with Mariner 7, Mariner 6 took pictures of the Martian surface, building on the data from the first Martian flyby 5 years earlier by Mariner 4. And this is K5KTX. And also on July the 31st, just a few years ago, 2008, NASA announced that the Phoenix Mars lander identified water in a Martian soil sample. This was the first direct observation of surface ice on Mars and has led to increased research into the polar ice caps. And let's celebrate some astronaut birthdays for this past week, starting with July the 25th, 1932, Paul Weitz, who was on Skylab 2 and part of the Space STS Mission 6. On July the 25th, also in 1957, Daniel Bursch, who was on Space Shuttle missions STS-51, 68, 77, and also was part of the Expedition 4 crew on the International Space Station. Then we have two Williams that were born on July the 26th. The first one in 1949, William Shepard, who was on Space Shuttle missions STS-27, 41, 52, and he was on the very first crewed expedition to the International Space Station. Also, July 26, 1951, was William MacArthur, Space Shuttle missions STS-58, 74, 92, and Expedition 12. Celebrating a birthday on July the 27th, back in 1961, Daniel Burbank, who was on Space Shuttle missions STS-106, 115, and part of the Expedition 2930 crew. On July the 28th, also 1961, Scott Parazynski was on several Space Shuttle missions, STS-66, 86, 95, 100, and 120. July the 28th, 1970 is the birthday of Robert Behnken, who was on Space Shuttle missions STS-123, 130, and his most recent was part of the SpaceX Demo Mission 2 as part of Expedition 63. And our final astronaut birthday is July the 30th, 1954, Gregory Johnson, who was on two Space Shuttle missions STS-123 and the second to last STS-134. And that's all I've got this evening. This is K5KTX. Back to you, Chaz.
Thank you, Kelly. The summertime is always a busy, very busy time for astronomy and space, so that's really kind of cool. Okay, we're going to go right on to the next segment. After that segment, we'll take some more check-ins. But right now, let's talk about Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Once again, this is KF5JHA. Slide Master, slide number 18 on my slide deck. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of a silent key, Carolyn, KC5OZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week from almost its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year, out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky in a year. In her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named it this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is Ophiuchus, the snake handler. We had the snake last week, and we've got the snake handler this week. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, or more familiar terms for Texas, it would be a snake wrangler. That's what I think we should call it. There is no classical mythological hero with that name of Ophiuchus, but the constellation is believed to represent the ancient Greek physician. The universal symbol of medicine belongs to him, and the universal symbol of medicine, of course, is the familiar symbol of a staff with two intertwined serpents. These serpents are represented by the constellation Serpens, the snake that's being held by Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is sometimes called the 13th constellation of the zodiac. because it lies along the ecliptic. That's the path that the sun, the moon, the planets seem to follow along in the sky. In fact, the portion of the ecliptic that lies in Ophiuchus is larger and longer than that part that is in the neighboring Scorpius. Slide number 19, please. Okay, you said you couldn't get enough of them, so we have to have some more snake jokes because we have a snake handler. So this is the reason why you hang on to Skynet for this long. Okay. What's the best unit of measurement for snakes? Well, it's inches, of course, because they don't have any feet. Oh, that's kind of funny. What do you call a magic snake? An abracadabra. What do you call a snake who works for the government? A civil serpent. What do you give a sick snake? An aspirin. If you need me to explain some of these, I can do that if you want. Who is a snake's favorite author? William Shakespeare. What is a snake's favorite TV show? Oh, this is easy. I'm sure somebody out there is going to get this one somewhere. Come on, type it into Echolink. What is a snake's favorite TV show? I'm waiting. I'm looking at Echolink, and there's nothing that's coming through. Oh, well. How about Monty Python? And the bonus one for this week. There's actually a bonus one. Why? Thank you, Tom. He did type it in. Why was the snake handler mad at the jewelry thief? Because he wanted his diamond back. Headmaster, slide number 20, please. Barnard star is a red dwarf star that is about 6 light years away, making it the second closest star to our solar system. Only Alpha Centauri trinary system is closer. Barnard star is famous for having the largest known proper motion of all the stars in the sky as seen from the Earth. It is a faint ninth main star that requires a finder chart and a telescope to locate. You can see it using an 8-inch telescope and a finder chart like you find in Burnham's Celestial Handbook. Barnard star was discovered by Edward Emerson Barnard in 1916. Slide number 21, please. M9 is a globular star cluster that is easily seen in binoculars and telescopes. Using an 8-inch telescope, you can start to resolve the individual stars in the star cluster. The cluster looks dim compared to other globular clusters that are in Ophiuchus. Slide number 22. Thank you, JJ. What's a snake's favorite cable channel? Is it what JJ was saying? He said it's the History Channel. Oh, I'm back to slide number 22. M10 is the brighter and much easier globular cluster to see than M9. At 41 power, you can start to resolve individual stars, and at 85 power, shows more stars, and 126 power, you see even more stars. Slide number 23. M12 is a very similar globular cluster to M10, and it starts to resolve at low power as well. So the view improves at higher powers. It's less dense than the other globular clusters that I'm listing here tonight. Therefore, the core resolves a little bit easier and a little bit better. Slide number 24. M14 is similar to M9 in brightness and is mostly unresolvable with an 8-inch telescope. At 126 power, a few individual stars pop in and out of view, but overall, the cluster appears mostly to be somewhat mottled fuzzball with a brighter core. Still, it is easy to notice in a 50-millimeter finder or with binoculars. Slide number 25. Rho Ophiuchus and Rho Ophiuchus Nebula Complex is the next thing I want to talk about. Rho Ophiuchus itself is a triple star system, and the two brightest components are fairly easy to split. The two brightest stars in the system are noticeable at 84 power and can be cleanly split at 125 power. The nebula complex is best seen with fast focal ratio telescopes. At 41 power, only a slight brightening of the sky background is visible around Rho Ophiuchus and some of the other nearby stars that are involved in the surrounding nebula complex with about an 8-inch telescope. The emission nebula around the nearby Antares, which is in Scorpius, was noticeable, and the nearby globular star cluster M4, also in Scorpius, adds some spice to the interesting region. This is a great target for astrophotographers. The picture I'm showing you is from Jason Ware's image of that region. And this is KF5 JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 26, please. There are more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Ophiuchus, the snake handler. I've just given you a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has over 70 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. If you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen in about a year. Slide number 27, please. That is Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week, Ophiuchus, the snake handler. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson, Dennis Harwell, for their research words and deep sky objects that I've used, borrowed, and stolen for tonight, as I do every night. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Next time, I'll take a look at Draco the Dragon. That'll be interesting. You can see most of it right now above the horizon. Tonight, if you wanted to go out and take a look, but out in the country, not in the city. And this is KF5, JHA, in just a minute. I'd like to take more check-ins for Skynet tonight. If you have not checked in and would like to do so, we only need 8 more people to get to our magic number of 42. We're going to have to throw a party if we get to 42. So if you would like to check in, please give your call sign phonetically, please, your name and your location.
Kilo Golf 5, Zulu India X-Ray, KG5ZIX, Joe and Wiley.
Joe, thank you very much for checking in tonight. Okay, space launches for this week. I believe Tom, KE5ICX, is going to talk about that right now. Go ahead, Tom.
All right, thank you, Chaz. This is KE5ICX. I'll start with August 3rd. This was brought up by Miss Kelly earlier, Atlas 5 CST-100 launch. This will be from Cape Canaveral Air Force Base. I think it's Space Force Station in Florida now. A United Launch Alliance Atlas 5 rocket designated AV-082 will launch Boeing CST-100 Starliner spacecraft on its second unpiloted test flight to the International Space Station. This mission was added after Boeing's decision to refly Starliner's orbital flight test before proceeding with crew flight test. The rocket will fly in a vehicle configuration with 2 solid rocket boosters and a dual-engine Centaur upper stage. This is delayed from the 3rd quarter of this year, and, well, several, but at any rate. Next, August 10th, we got a Falcon 9 Starlink launch. This is a SLC-4E from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. The Falcon 9 rocket will launch the first dedicated mission with Starlink Internet satellites from Vandenberg Space Force Base. This mission will deploy an unspecified number of Starlink satellites into a high-inclination orbit. On August 10th, we have a launch from Pad 0A, Wallops Island, Virginia. Northrop Grumman Antares rocket will launch the 17th Cygnus cargo freighter on the 16th operational cargo delivery to the International Space Station. The mission is known as NG-16. The rocket will fly the Antares 230 Plus configuration with 2 RD-181 first stage engines and a Kessler 30XL second stage. In mid-August, we do have another Starlink launch, SLC-40 from Cape Canaveral. Falcon 9 rocket will launch a group of Starlink internet satellites. On August 15th, 16th, we got the Pleiades Neo-4. This will launch on the 16th from ZLV Conroe, French Guiana. The Arianespace Vega rocket, designated VV-19, will launch the Pleiades Neo-4 Earth observation satellite for Airbus. Pleiades Neo-4 is the second of 4 Pleiades NEO high-resolution Earth observation satellites built, owned, and operated by Airbus. And then finally, on August 20th, Soyuz will launch from Bakhmur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Soyuz rocket will launch 34 satellites into orbit for OneWeb, which is developing a constellation of hundreds of satellites in low Earth orbit for low-latency broadband communications. Soyuz 2.1B rocket will use a, everybody say it together, forgot upper stage. And that's it from me. Back to net control, KE5I6.
Thank you, Tom. I already forgot it. Hey, Tom, before you go away with the microphone in front of your face, can you tell JJ what T-shirts you're wearing tonight? I don't have my video feed running.
Oh, this is my Frontiers of Flight shirt, and I'll turn around. If you're watching the video, you can see it. It's the, has on the back the Apollo 7 command module. I actually helped design this thing. That's pretty cool, huh? And unabashedly me promoting stuff. But yeah, I'll show it here. Back to net control, KE5I6.
For those of you that are only listening on the radio, again, the video version is really interesting because Tom usually wears a different T-shirt. I think he has about 52 of them because he wears a different one about every week for an entire year before he starts his new rotation back again. So thank you, Tom. Okay, recent astronomical discoveries. We're up with Brenda, WB50ZL. Please come now with your information for us. We have plenty of time for you.
Thank you. This is WB50ZL. The title of this is Scientists Capture Most Detailed Radio Image of Andromeda Galaxy to Date. The disk of the galaxy identified as a region where new stars are born. Scientists have published a new detailed radio image of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Milky Way's sister galaxy, which will allow them to identify and study the regions of Andromeda where new stars are born. The study, which was the first to create a radio image of Andromeda by the microwave frequency of 6.6 gigahertz, was led by University of British Columbia physicist Sofia Fedegoni with colleagues at Sapienza, University of Rome, and the Italian National Institute of Astrophysics. It was published online in Astronomy and Astrophysics. This image will allow us to study the structure of Andromeda and its content in more detail than has ever been possible, said Fedegoni, a PhD student in the Department of Physics and Astronomy at UBC. Understanding the nature of physical processes that take place inside Andromeda allows us to understand what happens in our own galaxy more clearly, as if we were looking at ourselves from the outside. Prior to this study, no maps capturing such a large region of the sky around the Andromeda Galaxy had ever been made in the microwave band frequencies between 1 gigahertz to 22 gigahertz. In this range, the galaxy's emission is very faint, making it hard to see its structure. However, it is only in this frequency range that particular features are visible, so having a map at this particular frequency is crucial to understanding which physical processes are happening inside Andromeda. In order to observe Andromeda at this frequency, the researchers required a single-dish radio telescope with a large effective area. For the study, the scientists turned to the Sardinia radio telescope, a 64-meter fully steerable telescope capable of operating at high radio frequencies. It took 66 hours of observation with a Sardinia radio telescope and consistent data analysis for the researchers to map the galaxy with high sensitivity. They were then able to estimate the rate of star formation within Andromeda and produce a detailed map that highlighted the disk of the galaxy as the region where new stars are born. By combining this new image with those previously acquired, we have made significant steps forward in clarifying the nature of Andromeda's microwave emissions and allowing us to distinguish physical processes that occur in different regions of the galaxy, said Dr. Elia Battistelli, a professor in the Department of Physics at Sapienza and coordinator of the study. In particular, we were able to determine the fraction of emissions due to thermal processes related to the early stations of new star formation and the fraction of radio signals attributable to non-thermal mechanisms due to cosmic rays that spiral in the magnetic field present in the interstellar medium, Fedegoni said. For the study, the team developed and implemented software that allowed, among other things, to test new algorithms to identify never-before-examined lower emission sources in the field of view around Andromeda at a frequency of 6.6 gigahertz. For the resulting map, researchers were able to identify a catalog of about 100 point sources, including stars, galaxies, and other objects in the background of Andromeda. All right, that's the end. This is from ScienceDaily.com. This is WB5OZL.
Thank you so much, Brenda. You know, we pack an awful lot of stuff into one Skynet in about 90 minutes. That's awesome. Okay, Tom is up again. What? Tom? Again? Yeah, okay. How about Tom giving us some information on some visible satellite passages over the next day or two?
Well, thank you, Chaz. This is KE5ICX. So what do we have? Well, the International Space Station has two partial passes. There's one on August 3rd. By the way, all this information comes from heavensabove.com. All you have to do is go to the website. You can anonymously put in the information that you need, longitude and latitude, and it will tell you, or you can log in and become a full member, and it will remember you 100% of the time. Let's see, August 3rd, we have a pass minus 3.7 magnitude. This is in the evening at 21:41 local time out of the northwest, reaches its highest point at 70 degrees at 21:45, and then falls at 21:46 at 36 degrees out of the south-southeast. August 4th has another pass, minus 3.5 magnitude at 20:54 local time, reaches its highest point at 20:57 at 59 degrees and falls at 2100 local time. Next is, and this has been renamed Tiangong, the Chinese satellite space station. I'm not quite sure why that was changed. I'm going to have to Google that and find out. There's been two Tiangong space stations. This one would be number 3, but there's no number after it, and it was previously named something else. So there's two good passes. August 7th, 1.0 magnitude at 5:25 a.m. This is a partial pass at 44 degrees, reaches its highest point at 79 degrees at 5:26, and then falls at 5:29 at 10 degrees. August 9th, we have another pass, 1.6 magnitude at 5 o'clock in the morning at 53 degrees out of the north, reaches its highest point at, actually is at its highest point at 5 o'clock at 53 degrees. So it's going to pop out in the middle of the sky, and it will fall at 5:03 to the northeast at 10 degrees. Then I got one more for you, the X-37B, the winged spacecraft, that unmanned, that is sort of the successor to the shuttle, but Air Space Force related. It has one pass August 1st, which isn't bad, 1.6 magnitude, 4:40 in the morning at 45 degrees, another partial pass It'll reach its highest point at 440. Surprise, surprise. It'll fall at 442, 45. That's a real quickie, folks. It's not going to last very long. But you will be able to get a peep of it before it disappears. This is KE5ICX. Back to net control.
Thank you so much, Tom. Hey, Tony, NT5TM, says something about an ISS passage tonight in about 3 minutes at 10:27. It's going to be in the northwestern part of the sky and travels over to the north, about 45 degrees up. So if you have a clear horizon toward the northwest or the north, please go out and take a look. But that's in about 3 minutes. Okay. I'd like to see if we've got any more check-ins. Are there any more check-ins for Skynet tonight? Come now with your call sign and your name and your location. This will be our final check-in. Okay, tonight we had 35 hands. Gosh, that was close. We're getting closer and closer to 42. I thank you for all that checked in this evening. I know there's still lurkers out there. If you could check in, we can get to our magic number 42. We hope you enjoyed being here this evening, and come every week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy here on and space exploration here on Skynet. And on this net, the sky is never the limit. We always look for new net control stations for this net and also for other DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this, if I can do this, you can do this. Contact any one of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful things at w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. So until next Saturday night, this is Chaz, KF5JHA. There'll be a different net control, much better next week. I'll be closing the net at 10:25:59 local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. Well, it wasn't normal use for the last 90 minutes because I was net control. 73, everybody. I hope you enjoy the evening discovering the universe. And go look what's out, because the ISS could be out there in about 60 seconds. Good night, everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Chaz. This is KE5ICX. We'll be back in 5 minutes at 10:30 if you want to go watch the ISS pass over. It'll be out of the northwest at 310 degrees, and it will disappear almost overhead in Ursa Minor. So run out there right now, and you should be able to see it in the northwest sky. It should be going over right now. We'll be back in 5 minutes for the Afterglow Movie Net. See you then. KE5ICX.
And I do see it. November Tango 5, Tango Mike, rising steadily from left to right.
Thank you, Tony. KF5JHA.
Well, if I were really clever, I'd be trying to see if the voice repeater is on, but I'm sleepy. ND5TM.
Thanks for a great net, everybody. It made light work, or it made replacing and wiring receptacles in the house actually fun. K5 JW.
Normal state.
Ooh, and what a rapid fade out up there just above
completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
Oh, I hope you saw it. It just disappeared into shadow. KE5ICX. Anybody who want to be net control this evening for the 27th day, here's your opportunity. Raise your hands. Raise them high. You could be net control.
That was an okay ISS pass, although it disappeared before it got right up to the zenith. N5BB, back inside. No ISS, might as well come back in.
Well, thank you, Bill, for volunteering to be net control for tonight's Afterglow Movie Net, the 27th day. The net is yours.
You want moi to be net control? If you insist, let me get my notepad ready. Now, you know, Tom, I'm going to insist on double pay for this this last-minute assignment, you know. I'm going to request double pay with overtime.
Oh, overtime is approved. Go right ahead. I'm writing a bad check right now.
Okay, let's see, what day is it? It is the last day of July. It must be because it's the 31st, and so far we have no months with 32 days. This is N5BB, and yes, I have been drafted into being the net control for the Afterglow net. Tonight we're going to talk about the 27th day, a 1957 movie, which isn't too long. Black and white, science fiction. Tom, would you like to read your description of this fine flick?
Oh, sure, I can give the short version if you'd like. Yes. All right, here we go. It says, tonight's Afterglow info is as follows. The alien explained the complex rules to Jonathan Clark, a good-looking man who would star in a movie about L.A. in the year 2017. Same guy starred in last week's movie, a zillion years later. But Right now, the alien droned on. We cannot destroy you, steal your parking places, or excessively edit your television classics. You must do that yourself. You will each get a set of pills, all in color-coordinated splendor in alphabetical order. From there, you will just decide which pills to unleash on the world, but you must use them before they are expired. If you remove them from the pill box, they can be used by anyone, except Thursday, which is Garbage Day, and Wednesday, which is Prince Spaghetti Day. Clark was taking notes, and his fellow abductees, the writer of this movie, the director, and the producer, also appeared just as confused. And that's it. And well, back to net control. I hope that describes Terror from Outer Space, the 27th day. KE5I6.
That was nothing like the movie, but we'll leave it at that. I didn't find it confusing. I don't know why so many people seem to find it confusing. Anyway, let's move ahead. So, who would like to check in on RF, because I haven't started up Echolink yet. Who would like to check in on RF for discussing the Afterglow movie, the 27th day? This is N5BB, Net Control. Please come with your call sign and name.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike. Tony in Dallas, embarrassed to admit I saw the movie.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. Tom, Louisville. Yes, I saw the movie, I think.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J November. Yes, I saw the film.
Well, that's a slow start. I recognize NT5TM, Tom. KE5ICX, excuse me. I got my T's backwards. NT5TM, Tony. KE5ICX, Tom. And KG5BZW, Jay. All of them and myself have seen the movie. Would anybody else like to check in on RF for the Afterglow net?
This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. Name is Brenda in DeSoto, and yes, I saw this fine film.
Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas. Yes, I saw it.
Whiskey Tango 9er Victor, Michael in Plano, and yes, I did.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, I seen the movie.
Kilo 5, Juliet Alpha Lima, Jeffrey Flower Mountain. I saw it too.
Okay, let's pause there. I recognize, I got KG, let's see, WB5OZL, Brenda, you saw the movie. W5EBB, hello David, you saw the movie. WT9V, Michael, even Michael saw the movie. Wow. KB9SOK, Sean saw the movie. Jeffrey saw the movie, but Jeffrey, I didn't get your whole call sign. Give me the complete call sign ending in JAL. This is N5BB, Net Control. Kilo 5, Juliet Alpha Lima. Very good, Jeffrey. I was looking for a missing letter that wasn't there. K5JAL. Jeffrey saw the movie. Do we have anybody else that'd like to check in on RF? The movie we're going to talk about tonight is The 27th Day, a 1957 black and white movie. This is N5BB Afterglow Net, looking for check-ins. Nothing heard. I see several people on RF that have not checked in yet. Does anybody on Echolink want to check in? Or you can type in if you don't want to come in on voice. Type into the text feature of Echolink. Let me know. Looking for Echolink check-ins. This is N5BB Afterglow Net.
I-5-DY, Alpha India 5, Delta Yankee, name is Bill, in Garland, Texas. Yes, I saw the movie.
Okay, Bill, your audio is extremely weak. Unless you improve it, we may not be able to understand you if you make comments. AI5DY. I see you there on Echolink, so I know it's you, Bill, in Garland. You did see the movie. Okay. WD8AJQ. David, did you see the movie, and where are you located? Okay, I don't think David saw the movie or wants to comment. He said he just wanted to sign in. He's watching TV with his wife. Okay, I understand, David. Where are you located, David? David is portable in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Very good, David. You may be the first person that checked into Pennsylvania to this net. At his in-laws' house, his parents' in-law house. What a deal. Evidently, you just happened to find us here. Well, we're a crazy group of people here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, North Texas. And after an astronomy net called Skynet that ends around 10:30 Central Time, we have another net that lasts for 1 to 1.5 hours called Afterglow. And we talk about some science fiction movie. And the one we're talking about tonight is The 27th Day, a 1957 movie. So that's what you're going to hear us doing if you're listening to the audio. Okay. Let me move forward now. Does anybody else want to check in? Alec, KI5IKC, do you want to check into the Afterglow net? This is N5BB, net control.
KI5IKC, yeah, name here is Alex, and QTH is Arlington, Texas. I have not seen the movie. KI5IKC.
KI5IKC, I confirm, Alec, that you're in Arlington. I've talked to you before. And that you did not see the movie. Okay, very good. Who else is over there? KI6LCQ. Do you want to check into our fine net this evening? guess not. He maybe have left it on from an earlier net. Tony's already here. KI5GBT, Chris. Would you like to check into the Afterglow net? This is N5BB net control.
This is Kilo India 5 Golf Bravo Tango. Chris and Godley. I haven't seen the movie, but I will listen, and maybe I will see it in the future.
Gotcha, Chris. We got KI5GBT, Chris in Godley, Texas, who did not see the movie, just listening. The only other person I noticed over there is AG5PM. He was net control on TechNet, so he may just be checked in from there. Rich, are you still here? And if so, did you see the movie? This is N5BB, Afterglow net. Nothing heard. Well, that's pretty good. We have 10 people that saw the movie and 3 people just listening who did not see the movie. What a deal. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is the plot. That's right, the crazy plot. And I'm going to go from the bottom. So I'm going to start with AI5DY, Bill. Bill, your audio was very low. Do you want to make any comments about the plot? This is N5BB. Are you still there, Bill? AI5DY, this is N5BB. Do you want to make any comments about the plot?
I'm going to try it, see if my audio is any better. I liked the movie, the dialogue. Interestingly enough, somebody had commented on one of the comments I watched that the dialogue in this movie was clearer than some of the newer movies. Visually, I can't comment on the visual effects because being totally blind, but I love the storyline, and it was interesting from that standpoint. Of course, it was predictable, and kind of one of those movies where everybody unites and good triumphs and bad people are done away with. So I think in that respect it was a predictable science fiction plot and had the sort of the Cold War era feel to it. But I enjoyed it so much I watched it twice. AI5DY.
Well, very good, Bill. AI5DY, N5BB. Well, that's interesting. You can give us a little different understanding of the movie. I'm curious. Did you? By the way, this is a. I'm going to tell you something that you may not have picked up. Did you pick up from listening to it that the Chinese woman that was given the little weapon, that she immediately committed suicide? Did you pick up on that? Whoop, we lost your Bill. Your audio was perfect, the last transmission. Try again, Bill. Did you understand my question?
Yeah, let me try that again. Sorry. I had to go look up that plot, or that piece of the movie, because that I had not picked up on. And so I went and read some of the spoilers for the movie, and then I subjected my family to it, because that is one thing I love to do, is subject them to really bad science fiction movie. And so my wife gave me the visual on that, where she was at the statue and stuff. And so that was the bad part about the movie, because there was just music playing, but didn't find out later in the movie that something had happened to her. So I had to go back and read the storyline on Wikipedia.
Okay, fine, Bill. Well, the point here is that all the people back in the U.S., they had no idea. So the Russians figured that out because they were able to steal the weapon from the Chinese communists. But the Americans didn't have a clue about it, so they weren't commenting about it. It also probably wasn't obvious to you that, I think her name was Eve, the British woman, that she threw her weapon immediately into the sea. They talked about it a little bit later, but you could have missed that too. Okay, well, very good, Bill. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Next, let's go to Jeffrey, K5JAL. Jeffrey, what did you think about the plot of this fine flick? This is N5BB, net control for Afterglow.
K5JAL. Well, I thought it was definitely predictable. Slightly utopian that with the ending, the way they perceived it to be. Otherwise, it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, definitely had worse. That's about all I can think of. K5JAL.
Well, very good, Jeffrey. Good comments. Next, let's move on to Sean, KB9SOK. I'm going in reverse order now from how you checked in. Sean in Fort Worth, what did you think about the plot? This is N5BB, net control.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Well, this movie was interesting. To me, this just kind of fell somewhere in the middle. It was okay, I guess. But it wasn't bad, though, either. But I did find it pretty typical for the movies of that era. Once again, warning of weapons of mass destruction and how we use them. And, you know, we've seen a lot of those around that era. Of course, this movie came out not too long after World War II, so it makes a lot of sense, like a lot of other movies. In fact, what was it? I can't think of the name of the movie now, that we watched about 5 or 6 weeks ago with the airplane and the scientists that had the ability to create the next massive nuclear weapon. But all these movies around that time period, or a lot of the science fiction movies, seem to obviously talk about this because it was in everybody's minds around that time set. This one just happened to have an alien twist. One thing I found kind of interesting is there towards the very end of the movie, well, it was very end of the movie, they made the comment they were welcoming the American, or the world, Earth, to the rest of the community in the outer space, which they said there are thousands of planets. So it's odd that these aliens couldn't find another place to live, that nobody would take them in, that they really needed Earth. I thought that was kind of strange that they, with their advanced technology, or they couldn't even just find another planet that had anybody on it. So I thought that was kind of like a little bit of a short step there with the writers. So that was kind of odd. And the other thing I thought was interesting was there at the end when the scientists magically figured out by just mathematics that you change the caps around and now it kills all the bad people, which is now freeing up tons of space on Earth. but he didn't seem to blink an eye at the fact that he just literally killed probably millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. And he seemed to be 100% okay with it. I mean, quote unquote, just because they're bad, it's still, you think that would be way a little more heavy on people. But so those are the two things that kind of bugged me the most about this movie. Was just kind of really just the ending wrapping things up. But other than that, it was typical for that era. It was okay. It was a little slow in a few parts, but all in all, not bad. Back to net control. This is KB9SOK.
Very good. Some good comments, Sean. Next, let's move on to Michael, WT9V. What did you think about this fine movie, Michael, N5BB, net control?
Well, Tom called me this afternoon and wouldn't let go of my arm until I said I'd watch the movie and check in tonight. So here I am, Tom. I hope you're happy. First thing I noticed was Eve's shoes. Don't ask me why, but, she gets up, goes over and tells her boyfriend that, he can't paint, and then she slips on some sandals. Well, I'm not even sure what. She slipped her feet into something. And then she gets further up the rocks, and she's barefoot. And then she goes to space and comes back, and suddenly she can run on the beach in heels. I'm a little suspicious. I mean, continuity aside, running on the beach in heels? Come on. I'm not buying it. But she did it. Maybe it was a space superpower. The other comment that I've had, the only things I've written down so far was the aliens didn't need another planet. That was just a ruse. It was a test of humanity. Would humanity pass? Would humanity manage to kill themselves? Would humanity figure out the message that was encoded on the side of the things? Because, are they smart enough to read math? And apparently they were. That's why they said they were they welcomed them into the group of 30,000 other worlds. I thought it was an interesting premise. It was the whole good versus evil to some extent. It was obviously trying to make man look into his inner demons and see whether he could come through the other side, or whether he would do like the people on the other side of the Iron Curtain did and try and kill all the bad and kill the enemies first, as opposed to killing everybody that hated freedom, which apparently the aliens did too, because otherwise they wouldn't have had that ability. Anyway, WT9V, back to that.
Well, thank you, Michael. Okay, now let's move to David, W5EBB. David, what did you think about the plot of this fine flick? This is N5BB, net control, Afterglow Net.
All right, thanks, Bill. Well, the movie begins with an alien abduction of 5 people from different parts of the world, and right at the outset, we find this alien to be kind of sketchy. We don't know too much about him, except he likes to wear shiny pleather jumpsuits, and when he is asked where they are, the alien replies, in space, to which Gene Barry gravelly retorts, I don't believe it. So then the alien refers them to the round coffee table in the middle of the room, in which can be seen a painting of the Earth against a non-black background being lowered, seemingly receding into the distance. The Earthlings seem convinced. Now, the movie script attempts to patch up some of the potential plot holes along the way. For example, the question of why didn't all 5 of them make a pact while they were still on board the alien ship to disable the devices as soon as they got to Earth, either by seppuku or by a slightly less dramatic option, throwing their device into the ocean or into the nearest storm drain. Now, the ladies figured this out. The men didn't. One reason against this is because it would turn this into a 10-minute movie. It is Professor Beckner who flaccidly explains later in the movie, almost apologetically, why the three others, including himself, didn't dispose of the devices immediately, because we are not a mature, stable people. Okay, that sounds like a cop-out. And Professor Newhouse was skeptical that these annihilation capsules may just be a hoax. For the threat of a weapon of mass destruction to be effective, people have to see it work, either in actual use or in a controlled test to demonstrate what it is that it's claimed to be. They conduct the test, Professor Newhouse dies, the military and the sheep were satisfied with the result. Now, we've seen this story of apocalypse averted many times. One movie that comes to mind is the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey, 2010, The Year We Make Contact. Again, it's an alien or advanced entity saving humanity from the brink. Humanity doesn't seem to be capable of its own volition to save itself. But you do wonder about the permanence of the solution in either movie. Humans are forgetful, especially when there's an advantage to being forgetful. After the initial euphoria of global harmony has worn off, then it's back to the old divisions splitting into predictable factions. And in this movie, following the culling of those who were, quote, confirmed enemies of human freedoms, we, or rather our delegates, then invite the aliens to come to Earth carte blanche. We don't even bother to ask what their requirements are. How many of them are there? How much room will they need? What sort of natural resources would they consume? What if there are trillions of them? The aliens' first order of business when they get to Earth might be the designation of a few small human sanctuaries scattered across the globe while they occupy the rest of the Earth. Whoops. W5EBB.
Oh, David, you're here tonight, so we have a little philosophy. Well, thank you very much. Next, Brenda, WB50ZL. What did you think about the plot, Brenda? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
Well, this is... I'm sorry about my voice, WB50ZL. Well, this is so 50s. Human beings are so irresponsible, they're going to blow ourselves up any minute. And certainly in 1957, I was capable of lying in bed at night, worried about the atom bomb on its way to my house. You know, we were all terrified, and my parents would not build a bomb shelter. Just something we all worried about all the time is we're gonna nuke ourselves, and you know, it was terrifying. So this movie plays off a lot of that, and you know, it's another one of those morality plays where, you know, human beings are going to destroy themselves because they're so bad and evil and helpless. So let's make another story about that. But like an awful lot of movies of this genre, and during this time, human beings came through. We have a lot of that in Star Trek. We showed how good we are, that we're better than that we're worth saving, that we should not be exterminated because we're okay. So, you know, it's just a worn-out trope. But you know, for its day, it was probably okay. It wasn't a bad movie, but it was not a good movie. It's okay. It's worth watching. All right. Going to turn it back. WB50ZL.
Too bad that's all Hollywood fiction.
Okay, Brenda, we had a little interference there. This is N5BB. Thank you for your comments, Brenda. Okay, next person is Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, what did you think about the plot of this fine movie? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net Control.
Oh, this is KG5BGW. Oh, I got one second. Okay, I had to get a little bit more away from my radio so I wouldn't be hearing myself and just kind of getting lost in that. The plot, I don't know, it's kind of interesting in conception. I had never seen something like that from this era. But it actually kind of suffers from the problems when, okay, I guess I need to categorize it a little bit better than like that. It's just I don't know if I can, honestly. It's kind of an interesting, okay, let's try to integrate all the people of the world and see some sort of interaction between them and la-di-da-di-da, that kind of thing. It seems, I don't know, for me it seems a little bit of a more modern plot device, but maybe granted, I haven't experienced all the movies of the 50s, and maybe some of this stuff really is, not that different from other whatever the heck the word is, contemporaneous films of the era. Let's see, it suffers a lot from plot holes. The guy that, forces the situation by giving himself a lethal dose of gamma rays or whatever. Besides the fact that if he actually had lethal amounts, maybe you've been standing for, I don't know, an hour or so, but it wouldn't have been we've got plenty of stories about those that have actually been exposed and how they deteriorate kind of quickly. But some of this is, thinking like Demon Core and all that other stuff. Besides all of that, it just kind of sounds like that guy had a death wish, if you think about it too hard. And it's just like, it really, I just kind of don't buy that. I don't buy a number of things in this film. The ending where, all the enemies of freedom. Oh, God, if it were just so simple just to say, have a genie, make a wish to a genie and have certain things. That's a lot of how this movie moves along. There's certain effective genies that, just tell them a direction. How do these capsules know latitude and longitude? I guess these aliens have been studying humans for a while. Obviously, longitude wouldn't be that hard to figure out, but you gotta have that starting point for latitude. So, I don't know. And then of course, I'm going back to the enemies of freedom thing, where it just kind of conveniently wraps up. I don't know. It was interesting. It was okay to watch. I agree with Brenda. kind of fun to watch. It had its problems, but it's not a good film. It's not bad. Terrible film. It's not a good film. I agree. KG5BTW.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Hey, I agree about the gamma rays. Okay, next, KE5ICX. Tom, we got a lot of people that saw the movie this week, so it's going to take a while to go through everybody. KE5ICX, Tom, what did you think about the plot of the 27th day? This is in 5BB after Lunette.
Well, hi, Bill, and thanks for taking the net this evening. This is KE5ICX, and thank you for going in reverse order, because I don't think I would have had anything to really give you on the first round. I'd say, I got nothing, because I couldn't remember the details. But thankfully, a number of people, as usual, David, W5EVB, gave some interesting comments. Jay, KG5BZW, also made a wonderful comment about the ending and the convenient plot tropes. I thought that was great. So now, almost as though I'm net control, I can take all the good stuff and just stand on the shoulder of giants. Here's the thing about the movie that I thought was interesting about it, is that, you know, they gave the pills to these individuals, supposedly random individuals. I'm not sure the aliens were that stupid, but maybe they were, and gave them kind of godly powers. Yes, they could wipe out people within, what was it, some 3,000 miles? Yeah, 3,000-mile predetermined limit, which means that you could easily wipe out a city. You could easily wipe out, like an atomic bomb, which is what we were worried about back then. But it was given to ordinary people, or random people. Some of them, you know, relatively insignificant or somewhat significant. I mean, they went and did this personality profile on these people, I guess, and decided to give them this stuff to do. Well, what would happen? How would you give an individual this kind of power? And how would they react? Because, quite honestly, if you're going to go to that planet and you're going to join the populace of Earth, with or without them, there's going to be this whole retribution. Are these people, Earthlings, capable of peaceful coexistence? Although we don't know that until the end of the film. They seem to think so. I don't know. Hold on. The choices provided were interesting, and then as anybody who's ever won the lottery, I have not won the lottery, so don't bother coming to my house. The minute you win the lottery, you've got a lot of people surrounding you and demanding, wanting, needing, and that's essentially what happened. These people were put in the limelight, and some of them disappear, some of them kill themselves, others are subjected to sodium pentothal, to gain control of the thing. And then the aliens, of course, they announced to everyone, hey, these five people? These 5 people, I think it was 5 people, have the power. And here's their addresses. Go by and influence them, which I thought was kind of succola on the aliens' part. So those things together, I kind of made it up. The part that drives me nuts, and I agree with Jay on this, is that all the evil people, known enemy of human freedom. What the hell is that? What, they fill out a survey and figure out what the enemies of human freedom were? They take, you know, all citizens of the earth, please fill out this survey and return it before today. We need the information, please sign on the bottom and provide 2 pieces of ID. That's what that was kind of like. I don't know, what the hell are they really doing in the end? I wasn't sure. The most boring character, I can't talk about characters yet. I'll talk about boring characters later. Gene Barry, later. But the ending was interesting. It was kind of a twist Twilight Zone thing, but it really didn't play out as well as it could have, I guess. and I think it was, somebody mentioned, it might have been you, Bill, about how many million aliens are going to come by. Is it 3? Is it one guy in a spaceship commandeered from Earth versus the Flying Saucer, or was it many? I don't know. It was a bit weird, I thought. All right, back to net control, KE5ICX.
Okay, Tom, it wasn't me, it was somebody else. Okay, thank you. Tony, NT5TM, what say you about the plot of the 27th day? This is N5BB, AftergloNet.
Hey, Bill. Well, it's really hard to follow all these other smart people. However, no net is complete if I don't recommend a book. So for those folks who'd like to learn more about a lethal dose of gamma rays, I'd like to recommend the absolutely excellent book, I'm really not kidding, Strange Glow, The Story of Radiation by Timothy Jorgensen. Strange Glow, The Story of Radiation by Timothy Jorgensen, which talks about everything from the different ways you can die of radiation sickness to really some of the risks versus benefits that we trade off for different uses of radiation in our lives. So, an interesting book, nothing to do with the plot, but I guess I'll talk about the plot. I really have heard some great things tonight. Thank you, everybody. But I particularly want to single out Jay for agreeing with, because today was Beehive Inspection Day here at the Smith-Medina household. And so we're noticing that our new queen bee, we've had what's called a supersession where one queen replaces another. Well, it's great. She's mated and she's laying eggs, and she's laying the eggs in the proper places in the hive, and all the other bees are following her because she's giving off the right pheromones now. And really, we're both animals that evolved on Earth. We have far more in common, as different as insects and us are, than we could with a space alien. So yeah, how on earth would the aliens even know what freedom means to people when, heck, people can't even agree on what freedom means under different circumstances? It's just ridiculously inconceivable why the aliens would have provided a secret code for eradicating people who annoy us. How would they know who annoys me? What if they would want to smell the queen bee's pheromones or something? They don't know. It was also, though, amusing to me how very clearly the hierarchy of the world of the 1950s was reflected in the hierarchy that the screenwriters wrote. That Asian woman, I don't know if she even got a line before she had to kill herself. And the English woman, I guess she was allowed to hurl her deadly weapons into the sea, but at least she didn't have to stab herself. Of course, the white men held on to their deadly weapons. And it was the highest status man, the professor from the elite university in Europe, who figured out the secret code. So, oh boy, the aliens even know about the hierarchy of culture in 1950s Hollywood. How interesting and reassuring. Anyway, NT5TM. Thank you, everybody. It's been great listening to you, all the interesting things.
Thank you very much, Tony. This is N5BB. Well, now we're at the top, so it's my turn. And I agree with just about everything that's been said so far. Let's see, some specific comments with regards to the plot. At the end of the movie, there's a couple of things that I don't completely understand what happened. I believe that they purposely kind of muddled through them so they didn't have to explain them in detail. The simplest thing to do is to just kind of shoot right on through it and end the movie. And one of those was the professor figuring out how to modify those little capsules to get them to, evidently in that one 3,000-mile area it was programmed to get it to, I guess, kill everybody that was undesirable. It wasn't exactly clear, as some other people have pointed out. And did you notice that earlier in the movie, when for example, the scientist, I guess he was a scientist, that went on the raft, when he was killed by the weapon, he kind of vaporized. His clothes fell down. There was a white flash, and that occurred earlier in the movie, too. The same thing did not occur when the Russian general, or whatever he was prevented from activating his capsules. Instead, there was a loud whine that we didn't hear before. He falls down, but he doesn't disappear in a puff of smoke. So I didn't understand that. Was that somehow the same thing? Was it different? If the camera had stayed on him a while longer, would he have vaporized in a puff of smoke? And what was the criteria? And how in the world, from reading some little mathematical symbols, did the professor possibly... And by the way, mathematical symbols are just like other aspects of our language. Completely human created, okay? Completely human created. In Roman numerals, an X is 10. Why? How would you figure that out if you didn't know Roman numerals? What we look at is the capital V was a 5. There's not 5 strokes or anything. How could he tell anything about mathematical symbols on there and relate them to what the weapon did, how it did something relative to human ethics? How in the world could he figure that out? So that was just some plot twist that was, like I say, it was thrown out there and not described. I didn't believe it. Also, at the very end of the movie, when they were talking about inviting the aliens, it wasn't clear to me whether it had been a ruse, as somebody else mentioned here tonight, and whether the aliens really did not want to move some of their people to our planet, or whether they did. They talked about us, joining with the 30,000 other civilizations. But they didn't say anything clearer that I could understand about whether they really were going to move some aliens to Earth. So maybe it was all just a test. But the test appeared to have real-world implications. I mean, people died. An unknown but possibly very large number of people died. So, I don't know. Maybe it's like, Tony to the bees. When the queen does her thing, does she do anything that causes large numbers of bees to die, that she rejects or something? I don't know. Anyway, obviously, if some cells in the honeycomb are not fed properly, those will die. So there could be things that occur there. Who knows? What else? In some of the discussions I saw about this movie online, people somehow had some confusion about the fact that early on in the movie, the aliens said that it was a precise 3,000-mile diameter zone where everybody would be killed. Later on in the movie, they said the thing had a range of 1,500 miles. Well, a range of 1,500 miles implies a radius of 1,500 miles, which is a diameter of 3,000 miles. So there's no conflict there. I did think it was very strange that when they sent the guy out on the boat to die, that they sent him 1 mile across the border or something, and they were right outside the border. To me, that is way too close for comfort. I mean, did you really know that it was going to drop off at exactly 3,000 miles? How many decimal points do you calculate that? And back in 1957, there was no GPS, and so out in the ocean, it wasn't that easy to get super accurate. So I'm a little scared to have with that 1 mile accuracy out there in the middle of the ocean. Anyway, there's a few other plot things we could mention. There's one final thing I'll mention. Did you notice that they, out of 5 people, they got 2 women and 3 men, so they were close to 50-50. And they got 2 people from communist areas and 3 people from non-communist areas. Okay, that's kind of a reasonable choice. But there were no people from south of the equator, the southern hemisphere. There were no Hispanic people. There were no black people. The only people there were from these big societies: China, Soviet Union, Europe, and the U.S. And he was kind of lily white, although the Chinese woman she wasn't black, let's put it that way. So I don't know. Race was kind of interesting. My guess is they didn't have a lot of actors of color, so it was much easier to get actors of these other races. That's my guess is why they did this. N5BB. I also didn't like the idea that they were supposedly going at near light speed away from Earth, but when they looked at the picture of the Earth, it was proceeding and you could see it. If they were going at near light speed, it would have been far infrared. The light would not be visible. Okay? So that made no sense at all. Okay. We had 3 people that were checked in that had not seen it. Some of them are here, some of them have left. Does anybody else that's listening want to make any comments about the plot? So if you have not spoken yet and you'd like to make any comments about the plot, please come now. I'll wait in case there's people on Echolink. This is N5BB, Afterglow.net. We're talking about the 27th day from 1957. Go ahead.
KI5GBT, Chris and Godwin.
Okay, Chris, you want to make any comments?
Yeah, now that I've heard everybody's comments, I think I did see this movie a long time ago when I was a kid. My dad loved B movies and really loved space sci-fi flicks. So it sounds familiar to me now, so I'm going to definitely catch up and watch this movie. It's too late for the Afterglow comments, of course, but sounds like an interesting movie. And I think I did figure it out. That's all I have to say, but it did sound familiar.
Okay, Chris, you're at the edge of the repeater range, so you faded out to nothingness, but we got most of that. Thank you very much, Chris. Alec, KI5IKC, did you want to make any comments?
And everyone on the net. I mean, this movie sounds like quite the afternoon extravaganza, I'm going to have to rally up some of my friends and take a look at this movie, because even if the plot isn't the best, at least it will be fun to critique the realities and everything else. And then maybe next time around, if we ever come back to this movie, I'll have my real 2 cents on it. So all in all, I appreciate everybody's feedback on this movie. It's definitely been an interesting listen. And yeah, I'll send it back to the net. KI5, IKC.
Okay, thank you, Alec. By the way, you and your friends, when you start watching the movie, I'll let you try to guess whether Jonathan Clark, the newspaperman, whether he wins the love interest of Eve. I'll let you guess. I won't spoil it. And we don't learn the complete solution at the end, but I'll let you try to figure that one out. Okay, next. Go on with the characterization. Let's go from the top again, the bottom again. Bill, AI5DY, if you're still there, Bill, do you want to talk about the characters, the characterization maybe, and the directing? Things about the characterization and the direction in the movie. If so, go ahead.
And N5H5P wanting to pop in.
Okay, Tom, we'll get you in a moment. Go ahead, Bill, AI5DY. I think Bill has left. Tom, N5H5P, did you see the movie? The movie is the 27th day from 1967. This is N5DB Tech Control.
And Bill, somebody just doubled with you. See who that was? That might have been the person you were calling. This is N5H5P.
Okay, who did I just double with? This is N5DB after going in.
Sorry, I'll let the other stations go ahead. AI5DY.
Okay, Bill. Go ahead, Tom. Did you see the movie?
Yes, we saw the movie last night. It was kind of interesting. I know you guys are on character right now. I just want to drop back to plot a little bit. It had its moments. It wasn't bad. Of course, and a lot of what you saw in, like you said, the characters, the characterization, Western Bloc versus Eastern Bloc countries, it was very Cold War. And the solution to the problem was an optimistic Cold War solution with the good people prevailing and the I guess bad people being eliminated by this device, and the aliens who put this test upon humanity ultimately accepting an invitation to coexist with peace and harmony with the folks on the Earth. There were things about the movie that were just kind of weird. I could not figure out how in the world the newspaper guy and the lady could figure out that they could hide at, I think it's Santa Anita. That's the raceway that the horse track that they were hiding in for like almost a month. How in the world they could hide there without being found? That was pretty lousy security at the Santa Anita Raceway. There were just a lot of other little holes in it. It was again, a B movie. It was what it was. It was a little bit confusing at times, but it wasn't horrible. Wasn't the worst thing in the world that I've ever seen, and it was 1957. So there you go. Back to net. I'm done for tonight, but thanks for letting me pop in, Bill. This is N5HYP.
Okay, Tom, do you make any comments about the characterization or anything else in the movie, special effects or anything?
I mean, there weren't many really special effects, and characters, just they were kind of cardboard, kind of stereotypical. So there wasn't anything really spectacular that one could place on this movie. It was just kind of there with I guess an intended moral twist at the end, and that we're the good guys and we won. So that's it. Nothing else. N5HYP. Good night, all.
Okay, thank you, Tom. I'll check you out. Okay, Bill, AI5DY. Sorry you had some trouble earlier. Did you want to make any other comments here in the net? Any other comments at all about the movie? Characterization or special effects or anything else? AI5DY, this is N5BB Afterglow Net.
I liked the banter with Jonathan and Eve. He has a couple one-liners on marriage, and then he had one line I thought was pretty good about when people fear, they hate. And so I thought that was kind of looking at what we're going through today, just kind of a line that stood out to me. But I loved, there was some kind of quick-witted stuff going on in the movie, so that was probably the most interesting. Of course, the Russians were stereotypical, and every time the guy would talk, I kept thinking of the moose and squirrel from Rocky and Bullwinkle. And that leads me to the radio announcer. The radio announcer in there was actually one of the voices in Rocky and Bullwinkle. So that was kind of fun little aside. His name escapes me. But it was typical, and I know you guys punch holes in the plot and everything else, and I just love bad science fiction movies because you're like, how bad can this get? And so I watch it knowing that there's going to be these holes and just really bad stuff, and it's part of the enjoyment for me. And then, like I said, subjecting my family to it is fun as well. And they're like, please don't do this to us again. And I go, oh, there'll be another one next week. AI5DY, back to the net.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Well, we've watched much, much, much worse movies. This is by nowhere near the worst movie we've seen. I think everybody would agree. We've seen some real stinkers. This one merely was sour. I don't think it was a stinker. Just a slight sour. Okay, let's move on to Jeffrey, K5JAL. Jeffrey, what did you think about the characterization and maybe the direction and things of that nature? The characters and maybe how it was directed or other things like that. N5BB.
K5JAL. No, I really don't have much to say about the direction or the characters. I think the storyline pretty much goes with any movie. You had the suspense, the romance, the plot thickens, that kind of thing. But I just looked it up here at the IMDb website, and it actually rated 6.2 out of 10. I think that was pretty good. That's pretty high for this movie. K5JAL. Back to that.
Okay, thanks, Jeffrey. Yeah, I think I might rate it something like that. Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, what'd you think about the characterization and the direction? This is N5BB.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, oddly enough, when I was looking for this movie, it's actually part of a movie collection on Amazon that's considered the 50 worst movies made. And so my expectation of this movie wasn't very high after seeing that, but it's actually, I think it's not that bad. I agree with everybody else. It's just, yeah, I think probably 6 out of 10 is a pretty accurate number for it. As far as the characters go, yeah, it was decently acted. The characters were very stereotypical. No surprises there. Very typical for the 50s. And the only part that I felt to me that was just kind of thrown in was, the romance. I really think that that really wasn't necessary, to be honest. It didn't really add to the movie. It's just, I guess they needed some fill. and I guess maybe that's one of the things that every movie's got, I guess, got to have a romance in it. But that part seemed a little out there a little bit, and the fact that she would follow this guy she knows nothing about across the world, I'm sure that was an interesting conversation she had with her boyfriend. So yeah, no, the direction was okay. I don't think there was anything special there. Nothing really special with the music. But I will say, whoever did the conversion on this film did a really good job taking this 50s film and bringing it up to a much higher standard. Because I was surprised some of these movies we watch, especially once they get converted onto YouTube, some of them are kind of rough. And this one was really clear, and the audio was excellent on it, and I was very surprised. So somebody did a really nice job on that, which always makes it a little more enjoyable to watch when you're not straining to hear what they're saying or looking through the blurry picture. So yeah, I was impressed with that part of it. Not much else. I really agreed with everybody's comments. I really enjoy this, listening to the group, because I never even considered that this might have just been a ruse, and maybe this was just a test for humanity. I took it more literal. So yeah, it's always fun to hear everybody's comments. Back to Net Control, this is KB9SOK.
Very good, Sean. Thank you very much. Michael, WT9V, what did you think about characterization, direction, things of that nature? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
I like Sutan best. She was the most believable character. All of them. That's all I got to say. WT9V.
Okay, that was quick. David, W5EBB, what'd you think about the characters? How were they characterized, and the direction? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
Well, the aliens had ambiguous and even contradictory rules regarding their morals and ethics. They were tricky, double-dealing, and established an early track record of not being completely upfront and candid, such as never telling the 5 people they were going to be outed to the entire world through a global TV and radio broadcast. So much for a strategy of keeping a low profile of anonymity for 27 days and waiting it out. Now, the aliens might have been like vampires. You have to invite them into your house. They can't invade the Earth unless you ask them to come, which is what we did. I think a sequel for this movie, The 28th Day, would have been good to depict exactly what happened after the aliens arrived. Or maybe that sequel was made, Independence Day. At the end of this movie, all the bad people are killed off, so you're left with the good people living in harmony with each other, at least temporarily. But what about the next generation? To my knowledge, good is not a hereditary trait. You're going to have some bad seed who will proliferate, combine, and seek advantage over others by unscrupulous means. So after a few generations, you're back to square one. You can't expect the aliens to constantly go around the entire planet and stick their glowing ET finger on everyone's forehead and say, be good, and expect that to stick. So how do you make good stick? Well, Jeremiah 31 has a solution. After all the bad people have been eliminated, then the remainder, the remnant, those who have chosen to be good, will then have the law that implements good permanently written onto their hearts so that they are innately compelled to follow it. And that good will be perpetuated in the teaching of their children, and perhaps good does become a hereditary trait. Imagine a world where you're all in accord to follow the same rules, to obey the same laws with no deception or false pretense. A world in which you never have to question anyone's intent, motive, or their authenticity. Wouldn't that be the bee's knees? W5EBB.
Well, we already know the aliens use deceptions. And so how do we know that the follow-up would be taste test for humans? The aliens are coming to eat us all. We've seen that in another movie also. Okay. Do we really trust that they want to talk to us for... Do we really believe that there's 30,000 other civilizations? We got no proof for that. Just this one guy in a flying saucer, you know? He could be Dr. Smith. He could be a lying son of a gun. Anyway, let's move ahead. Brenda, WB5OZL. Brenda, what did you think about the characterization and the direction in 5BB?
Thank you. This is WB5OZL. A lot of the characters were pretty cardboard. Most of the foreigners were. But I think, what's his name, Jonathan and Eva? Whatever. Were more or less the main characters. And, I'm told it's Eve. It's not important. Why should I remember that? So they spent a lot of time on their relationship and how that's developing, a little bit contrived. No idea why she just decided she would, go to another country and latch onto him. I'd be a little bit worried if I were him. She's a little more needy, maybe, than what he needs, but it did move the story along. We get our hero, Jonathan, and he does pretty well with the hero part, doing the right thing and trying to trying to make it all work out right. I think the alien was a real enigma. We still don't know what he was about. I won't trust him. And it would be a long time before I would trust them. They're going to have to prove themselves. And so you just wonder why, what do they need with us? They got their own thing. They don't need yet another tag-along little brother. So most of the other people in it were okay, not anything unusual or special. They just, they did their duty and they did what they were supposed to do. I'm going to stop there. This is WB5OZL.
Very good. Thank you very much, Brenda. Jay, KG5BZW. With so many people, it takes a long time to get back around to people, Jay. What did you think about the characterization and maybe the direction? This is N5BB, Net Controller.
This is KG5BZW. I don't know if I can say anything about direction or anything. The scenes seem to be filmed fine. The characters are kind of bland. I don't know that I have anything to say really much. Although you went with you started talking about all the things that could have gone wrong with how the aliens were interacting with us, and that of course there's that. I'm kind of getting off of characters here. I guess one was, okay, what if, the professor put a lot of trust in whatever he was able to learn from those, magical math formulas, diagrams, whatever. And then, of course, he must be so self-assured to, deploy his solution without anybody else to, double-check his calculations there. And the other thing was like, he assumed that those things were correct, and it's like, oh, what if there's like a, secondary effect? What if like 30 years later those like actually fire a second round and say, oh, we're cooked now, and just, oh boy. Oh, there's just so, you think about this film, the more plot holes you can just add to it. It's kind of fun in that way. What else was there? Oh, I don't really want to focus on the characters because it's just kind of, I did want to briefly mention there was such a thing as Loran for positioning. There's apparently been several versions. I don't know the full history. I know my dad actually had a Loran receiver before he got a GPS receiver, but then that's probably, he did that within my lifetime, and I wouldn't say that the Loran in the 80s would be the same as the Loran in the 50s. But, supposedly, according to a few documents I read online, that the Loran B could be accurate within a few tens of feet, but there's definitely some technical issues, and they had trouble with that. And then there's the Loran C. Some other people saying it's like, okay, Loran C's got accuracy to a few hundred feet, which is a little bit more than a mile, so, I mean, not a little bit less than a mile, I should say. That part's the blood workers, I don't know, but, and then special, honestly, I'm talking too long. I need to let the other people talk. KG5BGW.
Okay, Jay. Quick comment I might make is Loran stations, I believe, were all installed around the coastlines. And this weapon had a radius of 1,500 miles. So if they're going to test it, they have to be way out in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. And my guess is it would have maybe been too far for Loran. That's just my guess. Anyway. Next, Tom, KE5ICX. We're getting near the end, Tom. Any comments about characterization or direction? This is in 5EB.
Well, thank you, Bill, or lack of direction. Yeah, I'll open it up to some more interesting things. The alien, I was trying to figure out, I knew this guy, but I couldn't remember from where. The voice was really interesting. He shows up in whatever that show tune thing he wore. When he busts the doors open, I was waiting for an Ethel Merman song or something. But that's neither here nor there. It was Arnold Moss. He was the alien in the 27th day. And I looked through it, and I found it because my feeble mind can't remember stuff anymore. And he was in Star Trek. He played what did he play? He played Kodos the Executioner in, what was the name of the thing? Conscience of the King, where he played an actor. He was an actor playing an actor on Star Trek in Conscience of the King. And it was the one where they do the stage thing and they try and kill everybody off, including, what was his name? I forget. The guy who tried to spiral the Enterprise into the cold world in one of the first episodes. He shows up again, and then they try and kill him, and they should have because he was a terrible singer. But that's another thing. Anton Caridian he played, and that was kind of interesting. I like that. Tarsus 4. Don't forget, he tried to save the colony. Wearing basically the same outfit, I think, now that I think about it. Rest of it having to do with special effects. I like the, what was it, Burke chairs on the spaceship. That was pretty cool. Those bucket seats that you're used to, they had them on Star Trek with the long backs that they added to it. They had them on the spaceship with the low backs, but no seat belts. You need seat belts if you're going to fly on a spaceship, stock footage from Earth versus the Flying Saucers, because, you know, bad things can happen. So I like that. The whole thing with, what the hell was his name, the Gene Barry character, and the thing at the racetrack, and boring. Keep talking, talk. Nothing's happening. And everybody else was just sort of, it was like watching, what is it, the C-SPAN. It was like watching C-SPAN in black and white. Maybe even more boring than C-SPAN. So I don't know. But maybe next time, maybe the aliens should have just blown them up. Blown up the world in 1957. It would have been a better world. Or not, because the aliens had this really bad plan to begin with. But, you know, Kodos the Executioner, hey, he was pretty good. I liked him. And that satin, whatever the hell it was he was wearing. Not bad. Okay, back to you, Bill. KE5ICX.
Okay, Tom. We're getting very close to the end. It's 4 minutes before midnight. Tony, NT5TM. Any comments about the characterization or the direction? This is N5BB after Lunet.
Really don't have much to add. I did want to point out that the movies, even their view of the Russians was very American Hollywood-centric. In the real world, the Russians, well, the Soviets, were paranoid about a lot of people. Yes, the Americans, but also the Chinese, the Japanese, and pretty much every country in Europe they didn't control. So the idea that they would have used all three of their deadly disaster capsules on the United States is a little bit maybe possible, but I'm not sure that's what they would do. It would have been hard to guess. At any rate, I really enjoyed listening to everybody. I've got to check out and go to sleep. November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Okay, very good, Tony. Okay, it's my turn. This is N5BB. We're talking about the 27th day, a 1957 science fiction movie. Oh, let's see, characterization. The alien, he probably lied. That's probably the characterization there. Do all of the 32 or whatever other alien species he's supposedly in the group with, do they lie? Who knows? Let me look at my notes here. So, characterization. The Chinese woman whose name I forget because they killed her off so fast. There is a stereotype. It's like the Japanese, ritual suicide, and I guess they were saying the Chinese were going to do that too. And you notice they didn't have anybody from the Soviet Union or Europe or the U.S. or anywhere else doing that. So that was incredibly stereotypic within that weird stereotype, which is probably not very realistic. The soldier Ivan Godowski from somewhere in the Eastern Bloc, it was kind of interesting. He was the only character that really had this strong moral compass that was trying very, very hard to not tell his superiors what was going on with the little capsule. He knew that if he did not open it, they couldn't do anything with it. Or at least he thought that was what the situation was. And he was very good at resisting everything until they gave him the sodium pentothal. And that's the only thing that could finally break him down. So to tell you the truth, he came off morally probably the best of anybody, if you think about it. he went through all of the horrible things they were doing to him, and they had a letter from his mother even, I tell you. Boy. Now, Eve, her ethics were different. I think she didn't know what she would do or other people, so she didn't even tell her boyfriend or anybody else. She just threw the darn thing into the ocean. So she just put it out of her mind. For some strange reason, she immediately then went to fly way over to the U.S. to visit Jonathan. The reason for that wasn't explained. I didn't have any explanation of it. They didn't seem to connect, I mean, on a personal level there at the start. She'd only seen him for just a couple of minutes there, and they didn't seem to have the hots for each other when they were on the alien spacecraft. So who knows why she did that? I guess it's because it's the only person that she knew how to reach was him, because she knew his name and something about where he worked or something. Jonathan Clark, I don't know. At some point, it looked like he was trying to keep the secret to himself. At other points, he finally broke down and had to give it to his superiors, which may have been a bad thing. So I don't know about his ethics. The professor, the thing that bothers me about him is that he believed that somehow he could figure it out. Now, he kept telling everybody, let me see them, let me examine them. Why the heck did he think he could figure out something from the alien civilization? There's no reason for that. So to me, he was, he believed in his own powers way too much. Okay, end of all that. Okay, do we have any other comment about special effects or anything else at all? Music? Anything else about the movie? Last chance for anybody. This is N5BB, Afterglow Net, talking about the 27th day, a 1957 movie. Last call for any comments. Please go ahead. This is N5BB.
W5EBB.
David, we got any more philosophy? Go ahead.
Nope, just down to the mundane now. I wanted to mention a minor production goof. The Soviet general, when he shows the large wall map of the three 1,500-mile radius target circles, one is centered in southeast Texas, but the lat long written on the map is 29 north, 105 west, and that's not in Texas. It's in north-central Mexico between Chihuahua and Big Bend. But when the general calls out the lat long, he calls out the correct latitude and longitude, 29 north, 95 west, which puts it right over Houston, Texas, the intended target, undoubtedly. Now, fortunately, he wasn't able to finish speaking that last coordinate field, longitude seconds. So it was lucky that the capsules required the higher precision of degrees, minutes, and seconds, not just degrees and minutes. Otherwise, the general would have had time to complete the command. So a lesson to be learned: the precision of an answer can, in certain circumstances, be more important than the accuracy of an answer. W5EBB.
Yeah, but I didn't hear the alien tell them the format. Was it a decimal format, or was it degrees, minutes, seconds, or something else? I didn't hear that. They just assumed something. Maybe the capsule figured it out. If they said it in decimal format, they would figure it out. Did they have to use positive and negative for east and west, or did they have to use the words east and west? You know, you want to be correct if you're going to be, killing everybody in a 3,000-mile diameter, circle. When you start talking about that, what projection were they using? The Earth is not a perfect sphere. Anyway, any other last-minute comments before we close this down? We're getting into the very mundane. N5BB, last chance.
Did the Chinese ladies in the movie have a husband that died in the village? Because I think my wife was confused in describing it to me, but I thought the village was destroyed, and we weren't sure whether she had a husband or not that had been 5DY. Just thought that it maybe explained why she did what she did.
Okay, good question, Bill. This is N5BB. Well, this is very early in the movie, and it's in China, and there's some kind of rampage going on. It looked like that the communist officials were burning down a village and looking for people and killing them. And it appeared that her husband probably got killed, and then she was whisked away to the spacecraft. And then when she came back, she went in and immediately committed suicide. Did anybody else interpret that differently than I did? So I guess that's how it was, Bill. Does that make sense?
I took it as she wasn't trying to get out of the capsule, but more of she had grief over losing her husband. That's kind of how we took it. She maybe thought she was saving humanity, but it was just something, because I know we talked about why would she have done that, and they eliminated her very quickly. It would have been nice to keep her in the movie, but that's why I thought she maybe did what she did. 5DY, love the net. Thank you guys for putting this on.
Well, that's a good point, Bill. I had the same thought when I saw that happen. I had the thought of, was she committing suicide because her husband had just died? And then, so what I thought internally when I was seeing it at that instant, at that part of the movie, I thought it was a combination of her husband was just killed, and then they give her this additional burden of figuring it out, and she knew that if the authorities got control over this, she hated the authorities, obviously. They just killed her husband. So she knew that if she killed herself, that the weapon would become unusable. So I think it was probably a combination of that. You know what I mean? That's my guess. Again, does anybody else have any other comments before I close the net in 5BB afternoon net? That's a good point, Bill. Any other comments? Last chance.
W5FC.
Okay, I'm going to close the net. 12:09 a.m. Thanks to everybody. I'm going to turn it over to Tom and see if he can tell us what's going to be going on next week. And Tom, I've squeezed everything I can out of this stone. There's no more water in the stone. I've been pounding on it. There's nothing more we can say about this movie. In 5BB clear. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, thank you, Bill, and thanks for doing a great job on the net this evening. You managed to get it 100 minutes, or 99 minutes, actually. Congratulations, you were able to do it, and that's hard to do. So, let's see here. Next week's movie, everybody, Alien Code from 2018. Actually, this thing got, I don't know, some fairly decent reviews from 2018. That'll be next week. I don't know anything about it except that people sort of liked it. You can go ahead and get the links. You can go to the Facebook page, which is Astro Movie, 2 words, Astro and Movie. Sign up there, and you can see the file section or what's in the description areas, the postings and that, and get that information as to where you can see Alien Code, which I think is on YouTube. Or you can just send me an email, KE5I6, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-ray at yahoo.com, to be added to the list, and we'll take care of it from there. You'll get the links to the movies and all of that jazz. I send them out usually, let me reset. I send them out usually Sunday morning, unless I forget, and it's usually Sunday afternoon. But in any case, it is what it is. Join us and end this destructive conflict to the galaxy. That's it for me. Bye-bye, and bye-byes, everyone. This is KE5ICX. I'm clear.
Very good, Tom. Okay. If people didn't hear it, the movie is Alien Code. That's ALIENCODE. A 2018 movie. Original title was The Men. From what I can see, it's not rated, which probably means it did not get to theatrical release. Okay, see you next week in 5BB Clear. Good night to all.
ARRL NTS Net Nightly at 6:30 p.m. W5FC.